Hi, I'm Anne from Game Like a Mother. I specialize in games that can be played in 20 minutes or less, and these are my top 10 games to play with kids on an airplane. Those tray tables are very small, and these games are very fun. I have them all listed in the description of the video along with the timestamp if you want to skip to a particular one, so let's get started. First up, we have the game Don't Llama. And if you're looking at the name of the game and saying, llama looks like it's an acronym there, according to the website of the game manufacturer, it stands for Don't Let Llamas and Markers Accumulate. Don't Llama is the game. And this game is rather like Uno, but there's a bit more going on. In this game, you're trying to end up with the least points. And on your round, you're playing out cards like Uno style. Each turn, you get to play a card. But in this, you can play the same number that's showing in front of you or one number higher. You're just going by numbers, and the numbers in this game are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, llama, which brings you back around to 1 again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, llama, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You just keep on going through that. And what's tricky about this game is if it gets to a point where you're supposed to play and you can't, instead of choosing to draw a card, if you just have like a 1 or a 2 left in your hand, you can say, you know what? I'm out. I'm done. I'm putting down these cards. This is what I'm going to score. And then the next person can keep on playing cards, even if they're only the only person left, until they would have to draw a card. So they can just keep on going, and the round ends, you tally up your points. If someone's able to play all of their cards, then play ends for everyone, and you have to get little tokens or chips for the value of the points that you have left. But the person who ran out of all of their cards gets to put a chip back. And there's 1-point value chips and 10-point value chips, and they don't care. Just put one of the chips back. So if it's a little later in the game, you have a few more points, you can put a 10-point chip back. So there's more swings of fate. It seems like you can be down a bit in this game and then come back, which is really fun. However, clearly do not get the little chips out on an actual airplane. You can keep score on somebody's phone or a little sheet of paper or one of the napkins they give you or something like that. Don't get the little chips out. But this takes up the same amount of space as Uno, is so easy to play. It plays well with 2 players, but you can have quite a few more. You can have more players than that play. It's easy to teach people. So it's just one of those games that is perfect to bring along, and the theme is great because kids love llamas. Next up, we have Llama Drama. Yes, another llama-themed game on this list. I don't know who decided that kids love llamas, but they're right, and we're on board for it. The goal of the game is to be the first to get rid of all of your cards, and you start with 3 cards face down, 3 cards face up on top of them, and then a hand of cards, and you and everybody else work through the deck of cards and try to be the first to then play all your cards out of your hand, and then you have to put out the cards on top of those 3 face down cards one by one, and then you flip out the face down cards at the end, and it's a mystery, it's exciting. Kids lose it over this game. And if this sounds familiar, I used to play this game growing up just with a regular deck of cards, and it was a favorite at camp. It had a different name. It wasn't as politically correct, and it didn't have the cool llama theme. So sometimes I say, oh, are the specialty decks really necessary? Yes, super worth it. They're high quality cards, and you can use them a bunch, and it's just really cute. They have specialty cards too, so you have these numbered llama cards that you're playing out in sequence. You can play the same number or higher, but then they also have all these specialty cards. There's a baby llama, shy llama, big llama, magic llama, and ghost llama. Oh my goodness, the kids care about the specialty cards. They add a lot to the game, and they're super fun. If you can't play on the pile, you have to collect all of the cards, and then you just you keep on playing until you get rid of your big hand of cards. And I like this because with all the specialty cards, that happens occasionally in the game, but it isn't too punitive, and it seems like it's fun for everybody, and mostly you just still feel like you're in it. I will say there's another version. Basically, it's the same game, but it's called 3 Up, 3 Down, and there's no llama theme, and they don't have the same kind of specialty cards. don't get that one. If you're playing with kids, it's not as good. We've been playing with both, and they lose some of the specialty cards. I play this primarily with my 7-year-old and 10-year-old boys, and they don't really want to play 3 Up, 3 Down, and they want to play Llama Drama just on repeat. So this is the right one to get. Next up, we have 5 Alive, which is a little game that we found at Target a month or so back that I am just beyond delighted with. It's currently my 7-year-old son favorite game, and he wants to play it every night. And the goal of the game is you have these 5 heart cards in front of you, and you want to stay alive, and you lose a life if, as you're playing cards out during the hand, you have to play a card that would bring the total over 21 in the middle, or if, as the round ends, somebody plays their final card, then the other 2 people lose a life. And it's fun. It has a bunch of different specialty cards. There's a bomb card you can play out where everybody else has to play a 0, and if they don't, they lose a life. There's a shuffle card that you can play where somebody is about to go out, but then you can play the shuffle card, and they've played like draw 2s and everything, so other people have more cards than them, and so then they have to take all the cards and shuffle it back out again, so everybody has like an even number of cards, and so the person who's just about to go out is foiled. So it's nice because it's as simple as Uno to learn how to play, but there's a little bit more going on. And if I was going to send if my boys were going to go on a trip as unaccompanied minors somewhere, and I thought, oh, I want to send a board game with them to play on the airplane, this is what I'd choose because they can totally handle the strategy and the setup all on their own. And it doesn't seem like this ends with people too upset, even though, it's one person wins, one person loses. It seems like when somebody loses, they say, oh, I didn't get the cards that I wanted, or, oh, I didn't play it as well as I should have. So it doesn't seem like this ends in tears, which is good if you're sending kids on their own and you need to have a game work well for them. Next up, we have Gudetama, which is the tricky egg card game. And in this, you take turns playing out tricks with your hand, and you're trying to not take the final trick because whoever takes the final trick gets the points of whatever the card they played out there. It's based on an old card game called Cucumber. If this sounds sort of familiar, you might have played Taco Cat spelled backwards is a very popular game by the creators of Exploding Kittens right now, and that's a exclusively two-player version of this game. This one is 2 to, I think, 6 players, and it works better with more than 2 players, I would say. But it's okay with 2 players. I've played it with my boys before, 2-player. They don't seem to mind. And for goodness sakes, I used to play War on airplane flights for hours on end. So kids are not as picky as you think about the ideal play count for a game if they like the game. And this is better than Taco Cat spelled backwards to bring on a plane because it's just a deck of cards. Taco Cat spelled backward has like this big board that you have to put out and have space for. And there's a little bit more going on with that, although it's a really good game. I really like it. In this, too, with Gudetama, you bring it with you. If you have enough people in your row, you can play a 3-player. Or you play a 2-player on the plane, and then when you get to your destination, it's such an easy, fun game to teach and play. Grandparents can play this, cousins, friends. It's just very easy to get people up and running. But it's one of those games where it's really easy to learn how to play, but there's a little bit there. There's some strategy as you play, just, whatever you've been dealt out, you're working with. And so if somebody plays a card and you can't play the same number or higher, you have to play your lowest card, which is bad. You want to have a low card left at the end of the round. But then whenever it's your turn to lead, that's where you get to use the strategy where you're like, oh gosh, am I going to try to catch everybody with this high card? Am I going to play one of these middle cards that are just kind of worthless to me? This is my chance to slough off one of these and get rid of it, so that I'm left with, you basically want to have really high cards and really low cards. That's how you do well in this game. And then they have a few specialty cards where, like, if you play, it's numbers 1 to 14. If you play the 14, the highest card, then you don't get to lead the next time. You have to pick somebody else. And if you end with a 1, then everybody gets the point value of whatever they played on that final trick. So there's a little bit going on, but it's all very simple. The theme is cute. And I'm telling you, little card games are just your go-to for airplanes. And so this is perfect for that. Next up, we have Disney I Found It Hidden Picture Card Game, which is the only game on this list specifically geared for preschool-aged kids. And in this game, you are trying to be the first to get rid of the 5 cards in front of you that have different pictures of different Disney characters. There's a stack of cards in the center, and you flip over the top one, and it has an item you're supposed to look for. So like a traffic cone or a waterfall or a bridge. And so whatever it is, each player looks at their cards and tries to be the first to find that image on one of their cards. And then they get to place it onto the center, and you flip it from the picture side to the other side with the item on it. And then there's a new item. There's oars, or it says Disney, or it has a picture of Disney villain or something like that. And you're supposed to look for one of those items on your cards. And so you just keep on going until you're the first to be out of your cards. This is very sweet and mellow, at least when I play it with my 3-year-old. I help her look on her cards. She helps me look on my cards. It is calm, and it's perfect for on an airplane, although the 5 cards are oversized and they definitely will fill up the tray table. But my older kids do still really like this game, which is fun. They'll still come and play it with us a fair amount. However, the energy level goes up dramatically when you have like a 7-year-old, 9-year-old, or a 10-year-old involved, and they're into the speed thing. Like, oh, I found it, and they knock it over, and it gets a little louder. And so you really, if you're playing this on a plane with kids, you really need to manage that to make sure that it's still pretty quiet and mellow. But it's a cute little game. It's super compact. It is perfect for the space that you have, and everybody loves Disney characters. This is probably my 3-year-old's one of her favorite games right now anyway, and it's great. I take it along for a lot of things. It's great for an airplane, but it's good for restaurants or going over to grandparents' house. I mean, it's just a sweet little game, and so it is ideal for this age and on an airplane. Next, we have Ubongo, the brain game to go. I'm not saying get the travel version for this game. It's specifically the brain game to go. The travel version is still basically the basics of the original Ubongo game, is where 2 people have an identical card, and they have these polyomino Tetris type pieces that they're trying to race to fit in that little puzzle and be the first to do that, which does not work well on an airplane because it's basically like being in a library type environment, but way less fun. If you are trying to be seen and not heard with small children, you want to keep the energy level a little more calm. And so with, this is a solo player version, the brain game to go version of Ubongo. And so you just have different challenges you're trying to go through. There's no time pressure. This has 200 different challenges in it, so it could hold you over all the way to Europe if you were on a long flight. But also, they're each short, in theory. You might get stuck on one and take a little while, but they're pretty short. So you can start one as the plane is starting to descend, and, well, then you can't use your tray table, so don't do that. But you can finish it in a short amount of time and put it away, but there's 200 different puzzles, so you can be occupied for quite some time. And also, this is a solo player opportunity, but then a lot of times when we do these, you work as a team, so it's fun for people to kind of work cooperatively on it together, siblings together, a parent and child, so it works really well for that. I had considered, we have some favorite solo puzzle games kind of like this that are Cat Stacks, Dogpile, and Haystacks. All have little animals that form the puzzle pieces, but those are a little more slippery, and they often have to stack on top of each other. So that seems a little trickier on an airplane where it seems like, oh, there would be an opportunity to lose a piece or two. For this, the pieces are large enough and there's a nice carrying case underneath, so you only need to have the pieces out that you're actually working on. So it seems like you could have a high level of success with playing this on an airplane. Next, we have the game Rat-A-Tat Cat, which is basically, if you're familiar with some classic card games, it's very much like golf, but with some specialty cards. But this is cat themed too. You have 4 cards face down in front of you, and you are trying to end with the lowest point value for the cards that are in front of you, and then you win. And there are the cat cards are all the lower numbers, and then there's rats for the higher numbers, and you don't want those. And the power cards are there's swap, draw 2, and peek. It's all very simple. It's a very easy game. This is great for younger ages like 5, 6, 7. All do really well at this game, and they especially do well against adults because I don't know what happens when you get over a certain age, but your memory is just not what it used to be, and kids do really well. And so kids will legitimately beat their parents in this game a lot because they'll remember what 4 cards they have and what they've seen of yours. And it's just, you're not going to remember as well as the 6-year-old. And so they will love this game, especially if they are beating you on repeat, which makes for a happy flight for the child, which makes for a happy flight for you. So it's a sweet little game, doesn't take up a lot of space, plays really well with 2 players, but you can easily have more. So it's really versatile, cute, sweet theme, excellent choice. Next, we have Zeus on the loose. If you want a way for your kids to practice some simple math on the flight and enjoy it, in this game, you are trying to end the round when the stack of cards equals 100 points with the Zeus token in your possession. Then you get a letter, you get a Z the first time it happens, and then each time you play a few rounds, and then whoever gets to 4 letters first, Z-E-U-S, spelled out Zeus, that they're the champion and they win the game. And all you're doing as you play is you're playing out into a single pile, and you have a hand of cards. There's just a draw card and a discard pile where you're playing the cards on, so it's perfect for a flight. And it's great because in this game, usually I'd be a little nervous about suggesting a game that there's a lot of stealing going on with children, but kids seem to love it. It's part of the game, and it doesn't really seem to upset them because throughout the game, Zeus is moving around a whole bunch. Anytime the pile of cards equals a multiple of 10, whoever's done that, if you played a 3 down and it makes it equal 50, then you get to take the Zeus token. Anytime somebody plays a card that matches the one that had just been played before, so if you made it 50, but then somebody plays another 3 down and makes it 53, they get to take the Zeus token. If somebody plays one of the Greek god cards, most of those have some special ability that makes the card value flip, go up, down, just all sorts of fun, interesting things, and they get to steal the Zeus token when that happens. So it just kind of bounces around the whole time. It's kind of like a hot potato, except you want the potato, and you're doing it with this little Zeus, and there's some good basic math that's happening as you do it, and the kids really enjoy it, and so it's really easy, it's fun, it's a cute theme, and it is perfect for a plane flight. Next, we have Exploding Kittens, in which the goal of the game is to not have the kitten card that's the exploding kitten card played on you when you aren't able to defuse it. It's by the creators of the Oatmeal comic. Kids go nuts over the graphics of these games. It is very, very popular. I will say, make sure you don't get the adult version of this game if you are planning on playing it with kids. When we first got this game, I said, well, I'm a grown-up, I can have the adult version. No, I couldn't. I wasn't ready for it. We played it with friends, and when my kids were a bit younger, and I was trying to shield my cards from my 5-year-old's eyes because his poor little eyes couldn't look at them. That one was a lot. So we got rid of that one. We just have the regular version. That one's fine. There's some mild mild kind of inappropriate stuff. If you're okay with some like fart references, then you will be okay with the standard deck of Exploding Kittens. But it has, oh my gosh, kids just lose it over this. It has all sorts of specialty cards you can play on each other. If you collect a certain number of the same kind of cards like Taco Cat or Beard Cat, you can perform special actions where you get to steal cards from other players. That said, if you're playing this on an airplane and you have overexcited children, just make sure that, you're not doing a game where fights are going to be breaking out because people are stealing cards from each other as you're trying to have your children behave perfectly in a sea of strangers where you have to be quiet. So the game itself, for my boys, when we travel on the airplane, they love their screen time on an airplane. But if I said, oh, take a break and we're going to play Exploding Kittens together, they would happily ditch the screen for a while in order to play this game. So it's kind of worth it as long as you're able to manage behaviors while you're playing, because they are so excited about this game. And there's a lot of interesting things going on without it being overly complicated. It's pretty easy once you've played it once. It's easy to teach. It's easy to play. There's fun things going on. The graphics are really cool and silly. They have different versions of the same cards. Like there are a number of Exploding Kitten cards. I think there's 5 that come with the deck, and they're each a different exploding kitten. There's a number of different diffuse cards. I think 4 that come in the deck, and they're each a different diffuse card. So they went in for the details. My kids notice and care, and we have had our version for years, and my oldest son has been playing it for years, and he still just gets really excited anytime we get it out. And finally, we have the Something Wild card game by Funko. Our copies that we have are the Christmas version and Mandalorian, but there are a ton of different versions of this game out there. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to be the first to collect 3 power cards, and you're doing it by playing kind of like rummy style card collections in front of you. You either have 3 of the same number, or you have 3 cards in sequence of the same color out there. So that part is very easy, quick to figure out. But then you get to perform actions. If you play down a card that matches the color of the power card in the center, or if it has it's a specialty number that allows you to take the token. If you get little baby Yoda, then you get to perform the action that's on the power card in the center for the Mandalorian deck. And so you can do that to make it so you trade cards with the other player. You can flip over cards from the deck that make other players have to discard cards. So there's some fun, interesting things that you can do with it. It's a really cheap, easy to find game. That said, it feels, when I've played it quite a bit with my 2 boys and my husband, and they all say, it's okay, but it feels a little clunky. Like you're consulting the rules a bit at the beginning, because each of the power cards, they're different for each deck, which I think is really cool. But then you have to look up what each of them do, and usually a few times, because it's not immediately apparent from just looking down, oh, that's what this card that's wrapped up like a present means. You have to look it up in the rules. And then there's, even when you have it down a little bit, it seems like you play a card and you're like, oh, okay, which of my powers am I going to use? Because when you collect power cards, you can use them, but only when you have the special Funko token in front of you. So it plays okay, but it just kind of feels like you're stopping and saying, oh, wait, what are we doing now? What am I supposed to do? A little bit more than I would like. But that said, oh my goodness, does Funko do a great job on the cute little figurines? And kids are so into theme when it comes to games they want to play. And if you can hit on a theme that they are just so excited about, this game will get a lot of play. And it's really cute. I mean, the theme they have, Dr. Seuss, Spider-Man, Five Nights at Freddy's, Star Wars, Infinity Saga, Disney Villains, Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Mickey and Friends. I mean, there are just so many different really nice ones out there, and you can combine different versions together, which is cute and fun. So it's compact, cute, little, perfect to bring along with you. So that's it for my top 10 games to play with kids on an airplane. If they are literally trapped next to you on a flight for a few hours, you might as well play a game together. So hopefully you found one on this list that you're excited to try out. And thanks, and I'll see you next time from Game Like a Mother.